What if I told you that one of the most shocking returns in WWE history was actually a carefully orchestrated cover-up? That Brock Lesnar's earth-shattering comeback at SummerSlam 2025 wasn't what it seemed, and the real story involved secret negotiations, legal nightmares, and a mysterious disappearance that has WWE executives scrambling behind closed doors? I've spent weeks investigating this story, and what I discovered will completely change how you view Lesnar's return. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why the Beast Incarnate vanished after delivering that bone-crushing F5 to John Cena, and trust me, the truth is far more complex than anyone realizes. Welcome back to WWE Report, where we expose the untold stories behind wrestling's biggest moments. I'm your host, and today we're diving into the most bizarre saga in recent WWE history, Brock Lesnar's fleeting return and the web of secrets surrounding his disappearance. Here's what we're going to uncover. First, the real reason WWE brought Lesnar back after 2 years of silence. Second, why he vanished immediately after SummerSlam without explanation. Third, the truth behind those Paris rumors and what that Alberta photo really means. And finally, the shocking revelation about what WWE is actually planning for the Beast Incarnate. But before we expose this conspiracy, let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why certain wrestlers disappear at the height of their popularity? The answer isn't always what you think, and Lesnar's case proves that sometimes the biggest stories happen behind the scenes. Let's start with a moment that changed everything. SummerSlam 2025, Night 2, MetLife Stadium. The wrestling world thought they were witnessing the end of another classic match between Cody Rhodes and John Cena. Rhodes had just reclaimed the undisputed WWE Championship in a brutal street fight, and Cena was soaking in what many believe could be one of his final ovations. Then it happened. Those earth-shattering chords hit the stadium speakers, and 82,000 fans erupted as Brock Lesnar stormed through the curtain for the first time in 2 years. But here's what you didn't see on television, and this is where our investigation begins. According to multiple sources within WWE, Lesnar's music hitting wasn't the original plan for that night. In fact, up until 3 hours before the show, WWE officials were still debating whether to pull the trigger on his return. Why the hesitation? Because Brock Lesnar isn't just any wrestler, he's a walking controversy. His absence since August 2023 wasn't voluntary. It was strategic damage control following one of the most explosive legal scandals in WWE history. Remember January 2024? That's when former WWE employee Janel Grant filed a bombshell lawsuit against Vince McMahon and WWE. While Lesnar wasn't named as a defendant, the lawsuit contained allegations that made his name radioactive within WWE circles. The document claimed McMahon had offered Grant services to Lesnar during contract negotiations in 2021. This wasn't just bad publicity, it was a PR nightmare that could have destroyed careers. WWE immediately scrapped plans for Lesnar's return at Royal Rumble 2024, and for 18 months, the Beast Incarnate became persona non grata. So why did they bring him back at SummerSlam? The answer reveals WWE's desperation to create a viral moment that would overshadow their ongoing legal troubles. But as you'll see, this decision created even bigger problems. Now here's where things get really strange, and this is the part that had me digging deeper into this story. After delivering that devastating F5 to John Cena, Brock Lesnar didn't just leave the building, he disappeared from WWE programming entirely. Think about this logically. You have one of the biggest stars in wrestling history make a shocking return after 2 years, deliver a statement-making attack on a legend, and then, nothing. No follow-up promo on SmackDown. No backstage interviews. No explanation for his actions. It was like he was a ghost. I reached out to several WWE insiders, and what they told me was fascinating. According to my sources, Lesnar's SummerSlam appearance was filmed with multiple contingency plans. WWE shot different versions of the segment, including one where Lesnar never appeared at all. Why would they do this? Because even on the night of SummerSlam, WWE executives weren't sure if bringing Lesnar back was worth the risk. They were monitoring social media reactions in real time, ready to pivot if the backlash was too severe. The crowd reaction was electric, but online sentiment was mixed. Wrestling Twitter exploded with excitement, but it was matched by an equal amount of criticism from fans who hadn't forgotten the lawsuit allegations. WWE found themselves in an impossible position. They had created a viral moment, but at what cost? This explains the radio silence that followed. WWE mentioned Lesnar's name a few times on SmackDown, just enough to keep the storyline alive, but they weren't ready to commit to a full comeback. They were buying time, hoping the controversy would fade. But then something unexpected happened that changed everything, and this is where our story takes its most bizarre turn. Fast forward to late August 2025. WWE's next major event, Clash at the Castle, Paris, is just days away. John Cena is scheduled to face Logan Paul in what's being promoted as a crucial match in Cena's farewell tour. The wrestling world is buzzing with anticipation. Then, like a match to gasoline, a photo starts circulating online. It shows Brock Lesnar posing with a fan, and the caption reads, "Brock spotted in Paris." Within hours, this image is everywhere. Wrestling news sites are reporting it. Fans are speculating wildly. Is Lesnar going to crash Cena's match? Will he destroy Logan Paul? Is this the setup for a massive triple threat? The speculation reached a fever pitch. Betting odds shifted. WWE stock price fluctuated. Everyone was convinced that the Beast Incarnate was about to unleash chaos in the City of Light. But here's the problem, and this is where my investigation uncovered something that will shock you. That photo wasn't taken in Paris at all. It was snapped thousands of miles away in Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada, by a country music radio station called Wild 94.5. When PW Insider confirmed the location, the wrestling world felt betrayed. Fans who had convinced themselves that Lesnar was about to make another surprise appearance were left disappointed. But this revelation raised an even bigger question. What was Brock Lesnar doing in a small Canadian prairie town when the entire wrestling world expected him in France? To understand this, you need to know something about Lesnar that WWE doesn't want you to focus on. Brock isn't just a part-time wrestler, he's a man who values his privacy above everything else. He lives on a farm in Saskatchewan, just a few hours' drive from Medicine Hat. This isn't a guy who enjoys the spotlight or the constant scrutiny that comes with being a WWE superstar. The Alberta photo tells a story that WWE's marketing machine doesn't want to acknowledge. It shows Lesnar as he really is, a private individual who's more comfortable posing with a fan at a small-town radio station than dealing with the corporate politics and legal controversies surrounding his WWE career. But here's what makes this even more intriguing. My sources tell me that WWE officials were just as surprised by the Paris rumors as everyone else. They hadn't sent Lesnar to France, and they certainly hadn't planned any surprise appearances. The fact that fans and media outlets ran with the story shows just how desperate everyone was for answers about Lesnar's future. This brings us to the most important question of all, and the answer will reveal WWE's true strategy for the Beast Incarnate. Now we reach the heart of this mystery, and what I'm about to tell you explains everything we've discussed so far. Brock Lesnar's SummerSlam return wasn't a spontaneous decision or a one-off appearance. It was the opening move in WWE's most calculated gamble in years. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. WWE is playing what I call the rehabilitation game with Lesnar. They know he's box office gold, a legitimate crossover star who can draw mainstream attention like few others in the industry. But they also know that the lawsuit controversy makes him a liability. So they've developed a three-phase strategy. Phase 1 was the SummerSlam return, a controlled test to gauge public reaction. Phase 2 is the current silence, allowing the initial controversy to fade while keeping his name in the conversation through subtle mentions. Phase 3, which hasn't happened yet, will be his full comeback at a major event. But here's the twist that changes everything. According to my sources within WWE, Lesnar's return isn't just about creating a final feud with John Cena. It's about something much bigger: WWE's transition to their new streaming deals and their desperate need for mainstream credibility. Think about the timing. WWE's Peacock deal ended with SummerSlam, and now they're moving to Netflix and other platforms. They need content that will attract casual viewers, not just hardcore wrestling fans. Lesnar, with his UFC background and mainstream recognition, is exactly what they need. The Alberta photo actually supports this theory. Lesnar wasn't in Paris because WWE doesn't need him for smaller events like Clash at the Castle. They're saving him for the big moments: Crown Jewel, Survivor Series, or potentially WrestleMania 42. But there's another layer to this story that most people haven't considered. John Cena's retirement tour ends in December 2025, which creates a ticking clock for WWE. They have a limited window to capitalize on the Cena-Lesnar dynamic, and they know it. My sources tell me that Triple H's comments about Cena's wish list weren't just throwaway lines. Cena specifically requested Lesnar for his farewell tour, understanding that their history together represents some of the most compelling storytelling in modern WWE. Remember their classic encounters: Extreme Rules 2012, SummerSlam 2014, and their brutal rivalry that defined an era of WWE programming. A final match between them wouldn't just be nostalgic, it would be a legitimate main event that could anchor a major pay-per-view. But let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture, because Lesnar's situation reflects a larger problem WWE is facing in 2025. The company is caught between its past and its future, trying to maintain relevance while dealing with ongoing controversies and changing viewer habits. Lesnar represents both WWE's greatest asset and its biggest risk. He's a proven draw who can generate mainstream media coverage, but he's also connected to the legal issues that have plagued the company. WWE's handling of his return reveals their internal struggle between profit and public relations. The silence since SummerSlam isn't just about letting controversy die down, it's about WWE trying to control the narrative. They want to bring Lesnar back on their terms, when they can maximize the impact while minimizing the backlash. This is why the Alberta photo is so significant. It shows that Lesnar isn't sitting by the phone waiting for WWE's call. He's living his life, comfortable with or without wrestling. This gives him leverage in negotiations and forces WWE to meet his terms if they want him back. My sources suggest that Lesnar's next appearance will be carefully orchestrated to maximize impact. Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia makes sense because the international audience might be less concerned with American legal controversies. Survivor Series could work as a traditional Big Four pay-per-view. But WrestleMania 42 remains the ultimate prize, a final Cena vs. Lesnar match on the grandest stage of them all. There's also the Logan Paul factor to consider. Paul's involvement in the Clash at the Castle match with Cena opens up possibilities for a three-way feud. Imagine Lesnar targeting both Cena and Paul, creating a storyline that bridges traditional wrestling fans and mainstream social media audiences. So here's what we know for certain. Brock Lesnar's return at SummerSlam wasn't random, it was a calculated test by WWE to gauge whether they could bring back their most controversial superstar. The silence that followed wasn't abandonment, it was strategic patience while they planned his next move. The Paris rumors and Alberta photo reveal the gap between fan expectations and reality. While we were all speculating about surprise appearances, Lesnar was living his private life, unbothered by the wrestling world's obsession with his every move. But make no mistake, this story isn't over. WWE needs Lesnar more than he needs them, especially as they navigate their streaming transition and Cena's retirement tour. The question isn't if he'll return, but when and how WWE will pull the trigger. My prediction? We'll see Lesnar again before 2025 ends, likely in a major match that capitalizes on both his drawing power and Cena's farewell tour. Whether it's Crown Jewel, Survivor Series, or WrestleMania 42, WWE will eventually decide that the potential reward outweighs the risk. The Beast Incarnate doesn't play by anyone's rules, and that's exactly what makes him so valuable to WWE. Wherever he is, whatever he's planning, one thing is certain: when Brock Lesnar decides to return, the wrestling world will stop everything to watch. What do you think? Is WWE making the right call by keeping Lesnar on ice, or should they have capitalized on the SummerSlam momentum immediately? Drop your predictions in the comments below. When and where do you think we'll see the Beast Incarnate next? If this deep dive into wrestling's biggest mystery opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the scenes, smash that like button and subscribe for more investigative content. Ring the notification bell because you never know when the next bombshell story will drop.